I've been posting a lot of Instagram stories lately of what I've been making at home. And recently we did the Japanese pancake, which is called the okonomiyaki, and asked if anyone wanted the recipe. And there was an overwhelming response of yes. So that's what we're doing today. Hey everyone, I'm Flo. Dude is behind the camera and we are making Japanese okonomiyaki today. It is not super authentic because I'm not a huge fan of the red ginger, and so I don't put it in mine, which, you know, I'm all about use what you've got and only eat what you like. All written recipes are available to my patrons on Patreon, so let's get started. I'm starting off with half a head of cabbage that I'm going to chop and 3 stalks of green onion. I'm going to only use the white and light green part in the batter, and the rest of it is going to be garnish. I do want to talk about dashi. Now, dashi is I want to say it's a seafood broth that the Japanese use in a lot of recipes. So that has deterred me actually from making a lot more Japanese cuisine because I don't want to spend the time to make dashi, which is usually bonito flakes. This is bonito flakes, and it is just essentially dried fish. Our cat loved this stuff. So when I had bonito flakes in the house, it was mainly for him. But you boil this along with kelp to make the broth. And because I don't do a lot of Japanese cooking, I don't see why I would need a whole pot of dashi. So thankfully, you can buy instant dashi in little packets. Now you can also buy them in like big packets. I didn't know how much dashi I would use, and I didn't know how long this dive into Japanese cuisine would last. And as you've seen in my last video about my spice drawer, I don't really need more spices. A package like this costs less than $2, and in it are these packages of dashi powder. I already have an open pack in here, so I'm gonna use that first. I have half a cup of boiled water that is cooling down, and I wanted to get this dashi going first because I don't want to use hot dashi in my batter, but I do want it to dissolve. So half a teaspoon of dashi powder to half a cup of water gives you half a cup of dashi. Okay, I have a cup of flour, just all-purpose flour. And I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon baking powder. Sorry, I'm just approximating as per usual.
Because why, Flo?
Because who can be bothered with measuring accurately?
Oh my goodness.
And half a teaspoon of kosher salt. Just going to stir that up a little bit. Just set that aside. I've got 4 eggs that I'm going to lightly beat. Then I'm going to put that in my flour mixture along with my dashi. You know what? I'm going to do the eggs first because the dashi is still a little bit warm. Okay, now I'll pour in my dashi, which is half a cup. Okay, but don't over mix it. Like a pancake batter. Well, that's what it is, right? Japanese pancake. So you want it to be like a pancake batter. We'll just set that aside. I'm going to chop up half a head of cabbage, and I'm just using, well, I was going to say regular cabbage, but it's not. I think it's Savoy cabbage, but you can just use regular cabbage. Remove the stem. You want to chop it up into quite small bits. So you want the bits to be about 1/2 inch bits. And 3 onions. I'm just going to chop up. And while I'm chopping up the green onions, I might as well chop it all up and just put them aside. Okay, so the cabbage and onion is going into the batter. I know it looks like a lot, but it will fit in here. See? Not even full. I'm just going to season my cabbage a little bit with a couple pinches of salt. And then just stir this up. Now, I know this is not super authentic because I'm not using the red ginger. I'm also not using tempura bits because I don't have those things hanging around. But you know what? I figure if it gets you 80% of the way there, isn't that better than nothing? If you want, you can add your red ginger and tempura bits if you have them. So I try not to let ingredients I don't have or don't like to prevent me from trying recipes because, well, unless they're ingredients that you absolutely need, like you can't make this if you don't have flour, right? But if there are ingredients that I just don't have or don't like the flavor of, I'm just going to omit them. And if I can just omit them and still like get a very delicious and easy meal on the table, I'm gonna do that. Otherwise, I won't try new things. And if I don't try new things, maybe I'm gonna be missing out. Let's heat up my pan. I'm gonna turn it up to medium because, you know, this gas range is not reliable. I'm using a 10-inch cast iron pan. And when you heat up pans to the right temperature before adding your oil and before adding your food is not going to stick. But if you are using a non-stick skillet, that's totally fine as well because you're going to have to flip it. Adding about a tablespoon of vegetable oil or canola oil. You want a neutral oil. You know your pan is hot when you start to see the oil kind of shimmer. I don't know if you can see that. I know that I'm able to fit half the batter in this pan. That's what I'll do. So essentially this recipe makes 2 large pancakes. And I'm going to shape this into a circle. It's about 1 inch thick, and I'm going to say about 6 inches in diameter. I'm also using a silicone spatula so it can take the heat. Don't go using your rubber or plastic spatula to shape this. I turn down the heat and we're going to let this cook for about 3 to 5 minutes depending on how high you're cooking it at. And I have this pork. They come pre-sliced like this at the Korean market, and they use it for shabu shabu, which is like a hot pot where they cook their own food at the table. I don't think this is necessarily pork belly, but maybe it is. It looks like bacon to me, but it doesn't have bacon flavor. So it's just pork. But if you were, if you wanted to, I'm sure you can just use bacon. It would be just as yummy. So I'm just gonna put these on top, about, well, however many slices will fit, 4 or 5, because they will shrink a little bit. So maybe I will try to, maybe just 4. If you choose to use bacon, you have to realize that the flavor of bacon will alter the flavor of the okonomiyaki. So I'm using just not flavored pork. Okay, I'm gonna flip it now. You can tell that it's starting to brown on the bottom. And It is cooking through a little bit. I don't know if you can see. Ready?
Do it.
I think initially my pan was probably a little bit too hot, so it's a little bit burnt here, but that's okay. It's not like all burnt. And we're gonna do another 3 to 5 minutes on the other side. I bought the okonomi sauce for this recipe. I'm sure you can probably make it, but I wasn't sure about doing that because when I'm cooking at home, I'm also experimenting. So just wanted to make sure that this recipe worked before I introduced it to you all. So we're just going to squirt some of this on. It's not like super salty, so you can use as little or as much as you want. I'm using a silicone baster, and again, it's okay for this heat. I'm just gonna spread this over just the top. While this is cooking. Okay, I'm turning off the heat. Right, ready?
Yum.
Looking good. And again, we're gonna put some more okonomi sauce on it. Spread it around. And I'm going to be using this Japanese mayo. It is the Kewpie brand. And we're just going to zigzag this all over. Then comes the bonito flakes, and this part is awesome because the heat of the pancake will make these things move like they're alive, but you know they're not. It's so cool. Okay, then the green onions. And I'm using some furikake to dress it up a little bit more. Furikake is just a mixture of like seaweed and sesame seeds and some other spices. Are you all ready for?
The taste. Dude, this thing looks amazing. I love the way that it's a little bit cooler now, but the bonito flakes dancing in the heat looks so cool. It might freak out some people, but hey, it's yummy. There is no real polite way of doing this. So good. The flavors, they kind of meld together into a lot of great flavors together as one. You have, when you bite into it, you get the crispiness of varying degrees on either side of the okonomiyaki. And then as soon as you bite into it, you get the crunch of the cabbage and the creaminess of the pancake inside. So not to be outdone as you're chewing through it, the mouth feels coming together, and the taste of the bonito flakes, of the smokiness, with the okonomi sauce on the outside with the Kewpie mayo. A lot of goodness coming together, the creaminess, the smokiness. So this is definitely a winner. So for all you people who requested it on Instagram story, this is for you.
Although the kids prefer the Korean seafood pancake, they definitely enjoyed this. They said, I don't even like cabbage, but I'll eat this. Love hearing from you guys on my Instagram stories. And if you haven't been checking it out, check out Instagram and find out what I've been doing behind the scenes. Check out more easy recipes, and I'll see you over there.